Self-care. It's such a deep, layered word, and for me, it's really become the process of getting to know yourself, showing up for yourself over and over again. In creation of the Self-Care Creature podcast, I want to teach you, too, how to have a relationship with yourself. We're going to dive into the psychological and physiological unfoldings of adopting what I love to call a self-care lifestyle. This podcast is here to help you, the stressed out but spiritually minded individual who can feel that wild calling in your heart, who wants to develop self-care rituals to support your daily living, give you the confidence and know-how to live through your intuition and raise your self-worth. You deserve it. You are capable of this. And I want to help you understand how the hell to get there, what it actually means, and how do you actually live it. That's where my intention is with this podcast. The Self-Care Creature podcast, brought to you by me, your host, Courtney Klopp. Let's dive in. Hello, creatures. Happy fall. Welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. Today we're talking about the quality of the breath. The breath is a silent pulse within us. It's one of the main rhythms of the body that I am constantly speaking to if you've ever taken a yoga class with me. And it's also one of the only rhythms in the body that is both autonomous and manual, meaning that we can consciously control it, and it also obviously just works on its own. And it is one of the most essential anchors to our well-being. It holds this immense power to ground, to heal, and restore balance. And as ancient traditions have long understood, the quality of our breath shapes truly every layer of who we are. Scientifically, it influences our nervous system, our stress response, and our emotional states. So today, we're diving into the quality of the breath. And first, I just have a couple announcements that I want to say because there's some workshops coming up this fall that you may be interested in. I'm hosting my seasonal self-care shift shop on Saturday, October 19th. That's a half-day retreat. We will be focusing on nourishment. It's 4 hours. It's a small group setting. There's a gentle yoga, snacks, a sauna experience. I've been doing this for a year now, and I feel really excited to conclude with this season. Conclude as in full circle moment. That is in person at the Bow Sanctuary here in Skagit Valley. And the next workshop is also at the Bow Sanctuary in Skagit Valley. I'm hosting my first grief ceremony and workshop, co-hosted with 2 colleagues of mine. That will be on November 2nd from 3 to 8. And the catered dinner is included in that. And it really is, has been designed for understanding grief. Sometimes if you've ever gone to any grief type ritual or if you know anything about grief, it can be a huge spectrum of what to expect. And not all of us are really comfortable being in our grief. And we definitely don't live in a culture that fosters that or understands that. So this is really kind of like an educational piece, helping you to understand, giving you space to process and feel, and then being guided through some rituals and ceremony space to move through it. It's a very, very powerful and compassionate community container that I am feeling really, really excited. And if I wasn't being honest, or I've got to be honest, a little nervous. It's intimidating to hold that space, right? But I just have felt a really big push this year to do that. And so I'm stepping into it. And I feel really, really grateful for the opportunity. And I hope that you will consider joining. I also have officially updated my website, so all of these things are available on the website as of now, so go ahead and check that out. I've also been recording some more guided meditations, and they're available on Insight Timer now, which is my favorite meditation app. I use that app all of the time. I refer it to clients all the time. I share meditations with friends and clients all of the time through Insight Timer. So definitely look me up. You can find me by my name, Courtney Klopp, or also Self-Care Creature, insighttimer.com/selfcarecreature. I'm also posting these meditations and hosting other classes through my Patreon that I launched this summer, patreon.com/selfcare creature. And there's some really cool merch that I was able to set up through Patreon. So as a patron, depending on the tier that you choose, you might get like a mini print that talks about the definition of being a self-care creature. There's these really cool organic tote bags, sweatshirts, and stickers. And I am going to figure out how to bring that to more than just Patreon members. But at this time, I just feel really excited. Patreon has really great quality stuff. So and it's just really supportive to support me in that way. And you can support me for as little as $3 a month and still get stickers. So feel free to check that out as you desire. And for now, let's dive back into this episode, Quality of the Breath. I've been thinking about this a lot. Mostly because it's something that is constantly coming up in my yoga classes, and I've had a few students lately asking a bit about the breath, and I speak to the natural breathing mechanism a lot, and so this is just kind of breaking down the importance of the breath. I think tuning into our breath is kind of like tuning into a superpower, because simply by becoming aware of this rhythm, we can shift our nervous system from a state of stress to calm, enhancing both our mental and physical well-being. And the breath serves as a direct bridge between our mind and body. So it helps to ground ourselves in moments of chaos. It can help us to foster clarity, healing, emotional balance, and really shift our relationship with our mind. Like, what's going on? It helps bring in that total body awareness. But I have to say that even though the breath is a really powerful tool for grounding and balancing our nervous system and creating this awareness, it is just that. It's a tool, and it's really important to remember that. Tuning into the breath can help calm us in the moment, but it does not address the root cause of why we may be feeling ungrounded, stressed, or anxious in the first place. So just the reminder that true healing requires us to go deeper. It's not about bypassing. It's not about just feeling good. Of course, we're learning how to support ourselves where we are, but there is necessary inner work and deeper work that must happen in order for true healing, sustainable healing, and non-bypassing to occur. And this is why seeking professional support is highly recommended. I highly recommend. And I know that we don't all necessarily have the means to have professional support. So I also believe in the power of leaning into community. It is essential. Self-healing cannot be done in isolation. Isolation is a tool of oppression and even capitalism, because capitalism is a little oppressive. And I won't go into all of those layers, but we cannot heal alone. We cannot heal alone. And we are made to feel in our society and our culture that something's wrong with us and we're bad, and there's the shame and the guilt, and we isolate. Community offers the support and the space to help us explore and unpack these deeper layers and help us remember that we are not alone, which is essential, because no matter how you're feeling, out of the billions of people having human experience on this planet, you are not alone in how you're feeling. Of course, and it's always this beautiful dichotomy of the both and, where you are having your own experience and nobody else is you, nobody else has lived your life, but we are also having very similar experiences. So I just wanted to name that. Please remember that this is a tool. Using the breath and learning about the breath and being with the breath is a tool, and it's not something that necessarily goes to the deeper layers. So the breath significantly influences our nervous system and stress response, as I've been mentioning. And it's the way we breathe that can activate these states within ourselves. So our breath alone can activate a stressful response, a sympathetic state, perhaps fight or flight sounds familiar. And it can also activate the parasympathetic, the slow down state, the rest and digest state. And it's called rest and digest because our body is required to be in that nervous system state, the parasympathetic state, in order for our cells to recover That's that rest piece. And also for proper digestion to happen in the body, meaning that nutrients can actually be uptaken into the cells, we need to be in a restful state. And I am so passionate about this because we live in a very busy world where we are moving on to one thing or another constantly, even eating on the go. No shame. We've all done it. We all do it. And we need to take deeper breaths and actually slow down internally as well as externally. But I'm talking to the breath here, to be able to support ourselves on a cellular level. And again, it's just becoming more and more challenging and near impossible, and also extremely uncomfortable as we move through a world that is constantly encouraging us to do more and be more. So there are, of course, other things that contribute to shallow breathing and the stressful type of breathing, right? Of course, stress, anxiety, myriad traumas can all lead to this shallow, rapid breathing, which perpetuates a state of tension and discomfort and reinforces negative feelings, a plethora of negative feelings, whatever that is, whether it is how that anxiety feels, it's that tightness, constriction, whatever it may be. And conversely, conscious breath work can help regulate these responses, promoting relaxation and emotional resilience by fostering deeper, slower breaths that support your body's natural healing and breathing mechanisms. So it goes both ways. Most of us are living in a really busy state. We're going and we're not breathing fully. And so just taking the time to learn how to breathe properly, which of course sounds really fucking silly at first when you hear it. Oh, breathe. Are you breathing? I don't know how to breathe right. But it's truly just learning how to take a full, deep breath, just one full, deep breath, can really shift the way your nervous system feels, and incorporating that in tiny little ways in your days can add up to a calmer nervous system. Just to share, I guess, a story real quick. I've worked with several clients and that have had profound shifts just by implementing breath. And it's as simple as, hey, when you're done brushing your teeth in the morning and you put down your toothbrush, take a moment to just take one full deep breath. And it's so simple that it sounds stupid and that your brain isn't going to want to do it, but it also feels so good that when you pause and you do it, you're likely going to want to take more than one breath. And so it can easily turn into 3 breaths. And then just do that. Just start there. 3 to 7 consecutive days, one intentional breath in the morning, and just notice how it makes a difference in your morning and or your day. That simple invitation, I have seen incredible and heard incredible results about reduction in anxiety from my clients over the last 12 years. It's astounding to me. It really is. And then it grows because you're like, whoa, well, how about I take a breath before I get out of the car to go into the grocery store? How about I take a breath when I get home from work? How about I take 3 deep breaths as I'm falling asleep at night? You know, you start to create and integrate these moments of pause. And that is the art of breathing, in my opinion. It's just becoming into conscious awareness of how you're breathing. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a breathwork practice or be a meditator. It's just as simple as this. And with that, I will say that breathing is, I like to think of it almost like an ancient art. Ancient traditions across cultures have long viewed the breath as a vital life force, integral to spiritual and physical well-being. Practices like pranayama in yoga and breath rituals in indigenous cultures emphasize this connection, tracing back thousands of years. I think of yoga and the traditions around that started in India, and literally, at least, we know for sure people have been studying those traditions for at least 5,000 years, 4,000 to 5,000 years. And it's just incredible to me to think that people have already spent so much time learning about this, being fascinated by this, And we now live in a modern day time where we can reap the benefits of that. These traditions highlight the significance of conscious breathing in fostering balance and healing, and illustrating how I'm calling it breath work, but it's simply just breathing. Breath work is conscious breathing and conscious breathing patterns in certain ways, right? So these traditions illustrate how breath work is not just an art form, but it's a foundational aspect of holistic health that has been revered throughout history and highlights the importance of breath in regulating the body, mind, and spirit, creating a holistic approach to your wellness. And I wouldn't be surprised, I didn't do research in this space, but I wouldn't be surprised if there are cultures that look at the quality of your breath and how it relates to the quality of your life. If you're unable to take a deep breath, they might think that your well-being is not at its best. And honestly, it's not wrong, right? Like if you can't take a deep breath, then you probably aren't as tuned in, as calm as you could be. Okay, I just went out on a limb there. Thanks for bearing with me. We are going to actually get into what is the natural breathing mechanism. How do you breathe properly? What's going on with that? As designed by nature, when we inhale, we are bringing air into the body, and naturally the belly expands. The diaphragm moves forward and creates space for the lungs to fill with air. As I've been saying, this natural movement supports deep, steady breathing and activates the parasympathetic nervous system, that rest and digest state, that slow down state. And engaging the diaphragm through deep breathing helps to calm the mind and body, reducing feelings of stress and anxiety. And as we exhale, we are literally encouraging the air to exit. We are pushing the air out of the body. The belly softens. The diaphragm moves back up, pushing the air out of the lungs. And this is when I'm always cueing. You may feel your belly coming towards your spine. And this full breath cycle sends signals to the brain that it's safe to relax, helping to manage anxiety and depressive feelings especially. It's helping to regulate your system. And that's why focusing on mindful breathing can promote feelings of groundedness and calm. To name a few more extra great things, additional points that can deepen your understanding of the natural breathing mechanism, especially in relation to stress and anxiety and our overall well-being, I'll just mention it improves our oxygen exchange rate. It stimulates the vagus nerve, which is a nerve that runs through the brain and down through the diaphragm and is a key player in activating our parasympathetic nervous system. It's how the body and the brain communicate with each other. And stimulating that nerve can lower the heart rate, reduce blood pressure, and promote a sense of calm and relaxation. As mentioned, this type of breathing reduces shallow breathing. It can also help to regulate our cortisol levels. It massages the internal organs. It is just helping you to be more mindful. Focusing on the breath helps to anchor you into the present moment. And then, as I had said, it improves our oxygen exchange rate because diaphragmatic breathing allows for a more efficient oxygen exchange in the lungs, and it increases the amount of oxygen entering the bloodstream and helps expel more carbon dioxide, which is beneficial for maintaining energy levels and mental clarity. And with that, the balancing oxygen and carbon dioxide levels, shallow breathing can result in an imbalance of that oxygen in the body. And that can lead to dizziness, tingling, a sense of lightheadedness, and things like this, which of course, paired with stress in general, it's just other things associated with stress and anxiety. It exacerbates it. So deep breathing, mindful breathing can help to rebalance these gases, these chemicals within your body, and again, calms the nervous system. I could nerd out on this all day long, you guys. I'm really passionate about the breath. It's so simple and it seems almost silly, you know? And are you breathing properly? Do you know how to breathe? And at the same time, it's like, there's some really interesting stuff here. So moving into, the the natural, or not moving into, but coming back to the natural breath mechanism that we were just talking about. Inhaling, expanding in the body. Exhale, air exits. You feel that gentle contraction. The belly comes towards the spine. That's how I'm always cueing it in my yoga classes. But we have to say that the reversal of normal breathing, where the belly sucks in when you inhale, and as you exhale, the belly relaxes and releases, that can also feel really instinctive. And that is also a normal breathing mechanism that arises often due to stress and different types of stress and fear and or traumatic responses in the nervous system. And even I think about it, I'm like, you're exhaling and it's like just relax, and to relax the belly extends, right? Like I'm relaxing. But actually, as I'm saying, the natural breathing mechanism is when you exhale, the belly is slightly engaged because you're pushing the air out of your body. So this pattern, this reversal of the normal breathing, again, where you inhale and the belly sucks in, and then that exhale and the belly extends. It typically develops from a coping mechanism, like I had mentioned, with anxiety, trauma, and it leads us to unconsciously tightening our abdominal muscles instead of allowing for these deeper, relaxed breaths. And over time, it can create a cycle, whether consciously or unconsciously, of different types of tension and discomfort in the body, reinforcing the perception of normality in a disordered breathing pattern. So I like to mention this because oftentimes especially, in my last 12 years of work, I explain to clients how to breathe properly, and I just commonly hear that's not how I'm breathing. And even for myself, when it was first introduced to me, I remember, and it wasn't introduced to me as like, this is the proper way to breathe necessarily, but just like getting in tune with your natural breathing mechanism. When somebody was explaining it to me, I realized that I wasn't breathing that way, and that when I take an inhale, my belly sucks in. And even to this day, when I slow down and check in with myself and take breaths, if I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling anxious, oftentimes I will notice my breath is in this reversal pattern. And I have to consciously be with myself and truly just slowly be with myself and train the body. Be like, okay, I'm taking my air in. Let me relax the belly, expand the belly. And that exhale, let the air flow out. Belly slowly comes towards spine. Like, I have to really coach myself through that. It's normal for it to be reversed. All of that to say that it's normal for it to be reversed. So it's going to take a little bit of time. And thankfully, this is actually something that can be really quick. It may not come necessarily natural all the time or for a while, but to slow down and be with yourself and train yourself to breathe in this natural breathing mechanism, as I call it, is relatively easy. I'm going to say relatively. And I also want to mention, because this has also come up with various people, that body image and diet culture can significantly influence our anatomical breathing patterns because they promote restrictive beliefs about the body that lead individuals to adopt shallow and dysfunctional breathing habits. Have you ever been told to suck in your belly? When people feel pressure to conform to certain body ideals, they may tense their muscles or engage in patterns that inhibit deep, natural breaths, resulting in a more stressed and anxious state. And of course, this can create a cycle where negative body perceptions exacerbate poor breathing and further impact our emotional and physical well-being. If you grew up around people, like I was raised by my grandma, that was always like, suck in your belly, or, making comments about your body, that can also make it uncomfortable. So there's, again, as with all of these self-care tools, it's extremely deep layered and multifaceted, right? So there's just notice what's present for you, what's coming up. Can you be with whatever arises? All parts of yourself are welcome. What if all parts of yourself are welcome? Can all parts of yourself be welcome? That's a practice questions that I like to always bring in, because you are whole. There is nothing wrong with you. You're learning how to accept and support yourself. So I read a book not too long ago a student had recommended to me about breathing, and it's gained a lot of popularity, and it's called Breath, and it's by a man named James Nestor, and he explores how consciously breathing can profoundly impact our health and well-being. And he goes into some deep science about it. It was really challenging for me to get into at first, but I got through it, and it was really fascinating. And if you want to read that book and you don't want any spoilers, feel free to skip ahead a couple minutes here on the podcast, because I am going to just get straight to what the entire book distilled down to. On one hand, there's this emerging trend that you may or may not have heard of now about using mouth tape at night because it promotes nasal breathing. And for those of you that are not familiar with the mouth tape breathing, the tape has holes in it. It's a special type of tape. You can still breathe through your mouth, but it more or less keeps your lips closed, your mouth closed enough so that, again, it promotes nasal breathing, because nasal breathing is crucial for activating the diaphragm and regulating oxygen intake. And so this is something that James found in his research and in writing this book, that nostril breathing is really important. And then additionally, he found that the perfect rhythm, studied across science and cultures of varying degrees, 5 seconds in, or maybe it was 5.5 seconds in and out, is the most simple and effective way to cultivate mindful breathing that most supports the body on all of these different physiological levels. And so it helps to establish that balanced rhythm of calm that the nervous system needs to reduce stress. So together, those practices emphasize the importance of breathing as a foundational tool for holistic wellness, according to that book. So if you're into science, feel free to read it or listen to it. It's on Audible. And if not, there you go. I just nailed it down for you. Check out mouth tape. Check out some 5-second breathing. I did do some research for some meditations, and they are on Insight Timer for this 5-second breath. And there's like a metronome. There's like a metronome every 5 seconds that helps cue you when to breathe. Of course, I nerded out on all of this stuff. I've tried it all. So let's go into some more types of breathing, shall we? So obviously, as mentioned above, there's nostril breathing, just practicing breathing in and out of your mouth. I said that backwards. It's not your mouth, it's your nose. And some people are like, I just can't breathe out of my nose. And that's the point. The more that you breathe out of your nose, the more that you can retrain that muscle to work, and the cartilage there and all of it, you can just get it reactivated and get it working. That is not as simple as coming into the breath, as I was just describing, because it can be really uncomfortable to try and breathe through the nose when you're a bit stuffed up, or it literally isn't possible. So grab some Kleenex and give that one a practice if you feel called. Another variation of bringing awareness to your breath that I really like is just the hands-on body breathing method. An invitation to put a hand on your belly, a hand on your heart. I do this a lot in my yoga classes. I explain this in depth in my free Shift Your Shit guide. And this really just helps to, for all the reasons explaining here, to quell anxiety and stress in the body, but really having hands on body just adds an extra layer of connection to your nervous system to remind yourself that you're here for you, and it's not just as simple as those words, but it goes really deep into like a science behind touch and feeling into that rhythm under your own hands. If you're comfortable, we're not all comfortable putting a hand on our belly or a hand on our heart, so you can always just have your arms at your side. If you haven't caught on, I'm all about meeting yourself where you are at. Another exercise that I really like and have learned recently is that you take a nice deep inhale, count how many seconds that is, and try to double the exhale. And you're finding a rhythm and a flow here. We're not holding the breath at the top or the bottom. You can hold your breath, and that is often cued in many different breathing mechanisms. But when you're coming from a place of high anxiety and or depression and or traumatic backgrounds, PTSD especially, holding your breath, it's not really going to feel super safe and regulating for your nervous system. So these rhythms that I am describing here are helping you to find a rhythmic motion in your breath without a stop or a hold. So inhale, count how many seconds it is. Maybe it's 5, it's 6, and try to double the exhale. It's okay if you can't. Just long. The idea is a longer exhale. Another rhythm that I like to explore, I call the wave-like motion of the breath. So when you inhale, you're focusing on the belly expanding. You feel that come up through the ribs, through the heart, and into the back body. And as you exhale, you imagine that exhale coming down through the shoulders, through the heart, through the ribs, and then lastly through the belly as you push all that air out, feeling the belly come towards the spine. So it kind of creates like this wave-like motion. Belly, ribs, heart, back, heart, ribs, belly, and just gently breathing in that way. I just posted a breathing meditation that's 5 minutes that goes through the wave-like motion of the breath and just taps into this natural breathing mechanism. And it's available on my Patreon. It momentarily should be, maybe by the time you're listening to this, will be available on Insight Timer. So feel free to check that out. I want to give you these resources. I want it to be accessible. 5 minutes, right? Can you take 5 minutes? And then you'll learn to do it on your own, and you can just take one simple breath as you learn and feel into the rhythms, and maybe it's just 30 seconds. Every little bit matters. So I want to leave you with encouraging you to practice breath awareness and explore your own personal experiences through the breath and continue to take in moments of pause. Weave moments of pause into your day. I'm always saying this in my yoga class, and I truly mean it. Take it into your life, just as I had described in the beginning, and just see how it feels. And even if it feels silly, just try it. Just try it. Let me know what you think or not. Either way, I am wishing you well on your journey. And as always, I thank you so much for tuning in and showing up for yourself, because we need more people in the world caring. Because when you care about yourself, it expands your capacity to be able to care for and show up for others in a very grounded and genuine way. You cannot... What is the saying? You cannot pour from an empty cup. Okay, creatures, take care of yourself, and I will talk to you soon. Wait a minute. It's the outro. I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you so much for being a part of this self-care creature movement. This is a movement for individuals, our communities, the planet. If you're looking to dive deeper into our community, the best place to start is with our free mini courses. We also have many more online and in-person offerings. You can join our email list to stay up to date, or just check out, you guessed it, the Self-Care Creature website, selfcarecreature.com. You can also be a part of the conversation and help form what this podcast is all about. Simply just go to the feedback form in the notes below where you can ask questions and share your thoughts. Lastly, we're going to ask, would you please leave a review on whatever platform you're on right now? We would really love the help to find more creatures in the world just trying to learn to take care of themselves. Thanks for being here, and thanks for taking care of you.